Welcome back, and thanks for watching. I know I haven't been very active here on YouTube for a while, but here's a story for you that I think you might find interesting. Last weekend, we had a couple over for dinner. These are not very close friends. This is just a couple that we know in our town here. They're very nice people. I like them very much. They're in their late 50s, and it's important to the story. The wife has a serious medical condition. She has a slowly progressing incurable illness. She's fine. I mean, she's functioning, fully functioning almost, but anyway, it's a very sad situation. They're emotionally they're doing great. They have great spirits and all, but obviously they have my sympathy. So anyway, we're sitting down talking. Eventually we talked about many things, but eventually we switched to politics and healthcare. These guys are very liberal, and the husband was getting very emotional, talking to me about public option and how healthcare should be affordable. Which, by the way, that statement doesn't make sense to me. Healthcare should be affordable. I mean, everything should be affordable, as in we would like everything to be affordable. Anyway, that's not the point. I digress. And he was getting more and more emotional because I wasn't agreeing with him, and I was politely but firmly asking questions as to why he assumes the things that he assumes. One of the examples of how capitalism and the free markets don't work in healthcare was the story that they told me about how she used to take this drug, quinine, well-known drug. She used to take it for leg cramps, and it used to be widely available at the price of about $25 a box. And up until several years ago, when the pharmaceutical industry stopped producing the drug, or rather stopped offering it in the United States, you can no longer be prescribed that drug in the United States. And now what exists is another drug called Qualaquin, which is, according to them, essentially the same thing, but in a different kind of packaging, a different kind of pill, that retails at $185 a box, which, more than 7 times the price of what they used to take. And again, according to them, it's essentially the same drug. And I asked them, why did that happen? Why did they stop offering it? Well, because they couldn't make any money on it. They decided to make money by repackaging it and selling it under a different name. Which doesn't make sense to me. If it's the same thing, why does no manufacturer offer the old one? Because obviously somebody was making money while they were buying all this quinine at $25 a pop. But anyway, their explanation was it was the evil pharmaceutical companies raping them, quote, raping them in this manner, that somehow convinced some medical board, and I couldn't get to the bottom of why and how it happened, because their explanation was very muddy, but it was clearly in their mind an example of how free markets and capitalism don't work in healthcare, and why government should play an active role. The discussion of healthcare got so emotional that the husband was literally frothing at the mouth talking to me, and I wasn't being convinced. And eventually he jumped up, he left the table, said, I can't do this anymore. And he walked to the door. And several minutes later, they were gone, and he didn't speak to me again. He got very, very emotional. I usually get very emotional, but this time I pat myself in the back because I stayed absolutely calm and just used facts, used logic, and asked questions. And since he couldn't answer those questions, he in my opinion, that is why he got more and more upset. But anyway, they leave the house. I get online, and after all of 120 seconds searching, because I was intrigued by this quinine situation, I discovered the answer. Brace yourselves. The reason why quinine is no longer being offered in the United States is not because the pharmaceutical companies decided to skin these poor consumers who need quinine. The reason you cannot get quinine in the United States anymore is because, wait for it, yes, you guessed it right, it's the federal government. FDA banned quinine, specifically banned quinine for leg cramps. I have the links in the sidebar for you to look up if you're interested. But here's the amazing thing. Okay, the fact that the federal government regulates all sorts of aspects of our lives where they have no business regulating, in my opinion and many other people's opinion. But hey, that's not the point. That is to be expected. That's the kind of world we live in. What's amazing to me is that these people, who are obviously very educated people, they're both professionals, they're very successful, they're wealthy. To illustrate how wealthy they are, they have an expensive hobby. I won't tell you what it is, but it's an expensive hobby that costs them in the whereabouts of $20,000 a year. That's an expensive hobby in my book. I don't have expensive hobbies like that. I love expensive hobbies like that. but I can't afford them. So good for them. I love that. I love the fact that they can afford it. Anyway, they are successful people. They're educated. They consider themselves smart, obviously, but they don't take the time to research the issues that affect them as directly as this one issue affects them. It's their freaking health. It's the pill that she needs. And they're both totally happy, not looking up the real reason and blaming the evil pharmaceutical industry for something that it was actually the government that did it. Unbelievable. I was so shocked. I was honestly very, very saddened by that. Because how can you have an intelligent conversation about anything if people are so uninformed? Imagine, this is the issue that they have a direct stake in. Imagine other issues that they don't have a direct stake in, or not as direct as that. Imagine how informed and well-researched their opinions are there. Unbelievable. Anyway, I thought that was a nice example of how things are in this bizarre world of today. Check back in with me, rate this video if you like it. Leave your comments if you want to. I have a few things coming. I'm working on a book review. It's one of the most important nonfiction books that I've ever read, and I'll be happy to present you my opinion of it and my recommendation. So check back with me soon, and see you back here on YouTube.